me in the comments, boy, you better flirt with that woman on screen.
A couple days ago, I made my full year in therapy.
So you were probably bringing a conflict in that doesn't have to exist.
Let's share and talk about how we make decisions together.
Or don't make decisions together.
Don't make decisions. Stay Sharp, episode 26. I'm Jordan Ray, and joining me is my other half, Rashad Tyler.
I'm here.
We are the duo behind Raire Label, which also produces this podcast and supports brands and businesses from strategy to implementation.
We do.
You are watching this to go to school on our experiences or just observe. And if you like what you see, make sure you click that subscribe button. And definitely reach out if you need help on your upcoming projects.
Oh, we in the Nolia.
So Rashad is working on his ad libs.
You know what I'm saying?
During our intro.
I'm not sure if they're getting better.
I'm like, what a wonderful time to work on your ad libs during our podcast intro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one, I figured, Mama wasn't my favorite.
Oh, you switched it up from Mama.
Oh, we're in New Orleans.
Na.
You heard me?
Oh. Have you seen all of the memes on people trying to pronounce New Orleans words?
No. Oh, New Orleans words. Yeah.
I should have printed you out some words to see what you could pronounce.
This is the football one?
Well, one of them. I saw a few, but yeah, it's been heavily in the football community.
Yeah. No, they were giving them the names of streets and all of the rest of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chapatulas and all the rest of it. Yeah. I mean, when I first came through, it was a struggle. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, there are things now that I understand how to pronounce, just because I've had those humbling moments where Pontchartrain is still like, what am I reading?
Yeah. But if you look at it, it's really spelled like that.
Antetokounmpo is infinitely more difficult than
Absolutely.
Here. So I think that's the new thing that we're going to all have to humble ourselves and do as Americans, especially with the incredible and increasing momentum of the rise of music from Africa. Like, you're going to have to learn how to pronounce new names other than Jackson and Jenkins and Smith. Like, this is
Anyways,
how it is, yo.
If you want to open the podcast with ad libs, and let's make sure we pronounce the ad libs correctly.
I got it.
Segueing into our conversation today is prompt, I guess, that I have for you around gender and social media. You were sharing with me the other day something that was super interesting. So I know that this is really timely, that there is a study, or I'm not sure if it's parents or just a belief out there, that children, maybe kids, young adults, shouldn't have a cell phone until they're in high school.
Yeah.
That's like 14 years old.
Yeah.
14, 15.
I haven't read the study yet, but there is evidently really just tons of data that supports it's a negative play and disproportionately a negative play for young women psychologically. And it makes sense, even without the data, to imagine how much more intense those early teen years are. See, right? Because you remember that without social. Mm-hmm. So imagine when the bullying or the feedback around your skin, hair, or whatever, your body, whatever that thing might be at that age, follows you home.
Can come to a comment.
And goes around with you all the time in your pocket at that age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want to take our conversation into more of gender roles, traditional gender roles, co-worker gender roles, our domestic, whatever gender roles, me being a woman, you being a man, how let's share and talk about how we make decisions together based on
or don't make decisions together.
Don't make decisions. Who's responsible?
Right. For what? Like, who's responsible for when things go bad, or how I think about that, or
more so how do we share in decision making?
I think that the idealist in me wants to find that we're collaborating with all decisions. But I started to think about this like right when we were turning the cameras on. I'm going, I have a servant leader background. So philosophically, I am very much in the servant leader mind, which until this very second, I never shared with you, which might actually help you understand like why I'm always referring to you. And you might feel like I'm deferring to you to make a lot of decisions, because I ultimately believe that although I feel like I got to make the call a lot of times in the end, and you want me to make the call, but I just don't feel like it's my responsibility to be the person who knows everything and saying, this is what we're going to do type of thing. I don't necessarily think about it in that way as a person who's partnering with somebody in life.
Yeah, I think you do feel like that. That's not a lie. But you come across just as a person very calm and cool and collected and calculated. Calm, cool, collected, calculated. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
And so it's easy, and anybody that's watching that knows that can take my side real quick, let us know, because it's so easy to look to you to be the knowledge base about something, because you come across as having answers, being knowledgeable about things, being able to see the positive side or the best route.
Yeah.
So that's how you come across. That's a lot of people do come to you and seek you for guidance. And when we're making decisions together, that's what I'm looking for. But then on the flip side of that, you're like, well, I want this to be a decision that we're co-authoring. And I'm like, well, you be acting like you know what's going on all the time. So let's do that.
That's such a take that I've heard so much that I don't have like a rebuttal for it in particular.
Yeah.
I can tell you that my experience says to me that when I am finally making a call, whatever it might be, I want to feel a certain level of comfort. I want to make sure that I know as much as I possibly can about a situation before finally like pushing the boat off the dock.
Yeah.
Because you can't get it back a lot of times. So to be in a spot where I'm making a decision in isolation feels irresponsible. It highlights the prospect of me getting it wrong. And as a person who wants to be right, it doesn't make any sense to rush a decision or be under-resourced when making one. I just don't get why anybody would be so power or influence thirsty as to refer back to like, I made the decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're in a leader role, then that's why I shared with you about the servant leader piece, because if there is the responsibility in my hands that I have to ultimately be responsible for, and it affects you, why wouldn't I make sure that I leveraged what you might know?
Yeah, I think I'm totally not expecting you to make decisions and just tell me how it's going to be. And I'm going to be like, oh,
no,
okay.
you wouldn't stand for it.
Yeah.
But that you trust me to make a lot of decisions says a lot about your respect for me.
And to guide the decisions that we're going to make.
Yeah.
And not necessarily make them by yourselves. I know that can be very that's really intrepidating to,
right.
Especially when there's other people involved. So I'm not totally expecting you to do that at all. It's more you guiding the decision, especially around certain things, instead of like me guiding it. Cause I'm sitting here like, I'm telling you, I do not know. Now I can pretend to know pretty well because I'm just, I could get my fake it till you make it hat on. Yeah. But I'm like, no, you have to guide this decision, something, that I'm trying to guide us into. And I think that it's part of my role, and maybe my gender has something to do with it, is finding our work-life balance, to relate this back to what we do professionally and how so much of our time together is spent working, because we all work most of our hours. And I happen to, and you happen to work with the person that you're also building life with. And there's, over the years, I'm just like, whoa, this is getting intense at times. But something I came across recently is it's not work-life balance, it's work-life imbalance. Right. So through a certain amount of time, there's going to be imbalances, but how do those pan out? Right. Over a long period of time. Yes, and what does that look like? And feeling more fluid with that, because I'm not at all expecting everything to be perfect. Like, we are done at 5 every day and we clock out. Mm-hmm. That's not how things are going to go with us. It's just not. It's not the nature of what we do. It's not ever going to, like, we're entrepreneurs, we're business owners. There's going to be things circulating at any given time. But how can I, over the course of a month or a quarter or something, feel that we were balanced, even though day to day it's not going to be balanced? It's going to be an imbalance of things. If it was on a chart, it's going to look like that. So that's something that I've taken largely into my hands because of the role I play in our relationship. But I'm not sure if you would do that if it wasn't for me, or have any sort of balance calculation, because you would usually lean into work or productivity, or just the, that kind of mindset that you have.
It's interesting. A lot of how I behave now is, as I've shared a few times now, like, it's about family, right? And the life that I want to build with you, right? So my steps are very much ordered by that North Star. Yeah. The other part to it is, I already am very awake at there are seasons. And so there are seasons where we're going to do nothing. There are seasons where we're going to be.
When that season is?
I don't know. But it's closer to the end, because we're building the space now so that we can enjoy that time. But I'm also never fronting on like, no, we celebrate every day, right? Always have dessert. Like, when it's time to take off, we're tired, we just stop and go do something else. So I feel like there is a lot of allowance for enjoying our days as they are. And I feel like we've designed our life so it's got that kind of a space built into it,
How would you say that we design? How would you say that we assign tasks based on our roles? So that's from project work to domestic chores, household chores.
I know well, I'm not even going to project how I think you feel.
Oh, good.
I do the hardest physical or macro decision making. So if it's like, go put something in the storage or go get it out of the storage, that's my world in a physical way. And also, like, what is it like to figure out what the unfair advantage that we want to develop for our candle scents business, right? And that's my job too, to figure out the abstractions, figure out what the supplier relationship needs to be and how to contract with them so that we have as much flexibility as possible, or what do we need to bring in-house first? So those types of decisions are largely in my world. And I think that's gender, influencing that. It's not loud to me why, but that's how it sets. You are very much like, no, this color isn't the right color, or like this isn't the right texture. And I am so in the macro, I would miss the detail of that. Yeah. And somehow that pairs as well with traditional gender placements.
Yeah, I don't know how we fall into that.
It's so bizarre.
But we do, and I take on a lot of on the house front, the cooking and the cleaning, just literally because it falls in my lap, and I'm not always in agreement with that, or I don't always like it. And this has nothing to do with, I want to be careful, y'all. I'm not coming at Rashad on a podcast, but I sometimes wish, I'm like, wow, it would be so nice if my clothes just appeared folded in my drawer or hung up in my closet. And I don't know why that's fallen on me. And I look over at what you might be doing, and you're not sitting on the couch or, doing something with your time that's irrelevant.
This is your petty side though, like some of that narrative.
Yeah, I sure call it petty.
No, I'm not saying that it is not without merit, but I'm saying like that you would see that it's something. Well, maybe I cut you off actually.
It's just this really interesting fine line between women who work full time also doing most of the household work, and it's just something that it's just been that way for a very long time. And how I see it sometimes, and I'm not the best with articulating all the time in the moment how I'm experiencing something, but how I see it is, I just had to work all day too. And someone still has to do the laundry, someone still has to clean the house, someone still has to cook dinner. We have to eat. We have to have clean underwear. Our home needs to be tidy. And so taking on that is an extra however many hours a week. But I need to be in the office. I need to be doing this. I need to make decisions on that. I need to push this thing forward. I need to, whatever. So I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, because I think that just domestic responsibilities between two people who work and live and design together could be its own topic. But that's one thing there that just as a role that I end up taking on, and the client facing side, on that side, our service-based business with Raire Label and providing support there, I do think that over the years, I have been more of the point of contact in the role of being the go-to person, the face of the service part of the agency. And that's also been something over time. It's changed, and it's not always been the same day to day, but I'm anxious to see what that even looks like 2 and 3 and 4 years from now. Is it going to be still more me? Is it going to be a balance? It's not ever going to be perfect. Or is it going to shift where Rashad is more so the point of contact for a lot of or someone else? Like, I don't know, but it all kind of ran through me. And I think that is like, okay, well, I'm getting handed some more of the administrative roles.
But that's what you're good at. And
I happen to be good at it. What if it wasn't?
But you are. And you wouldn't be if you weren't. It's the same as like, I happen to be an elite executor. I happen to be one of the best in the country. So why should I be doing the thing that only I can, it's a misdeclaration of ability any other way. Mm-hmm. And so if you go, okay, well, if I'm cooking, if you're cooking, do you think about like what things that I'm doing or have to do that are unseen that you don't give me credit for? So it's all about like having a pairing and a mutual respect for the thing that somebody else is contributing to the relationship that maybe you are not as present with. Yeah,
that's definitely what I have to come into for sure. Like I want to make sure that I'm just sharing some of the, behind the curtain of like our day to day.
Yeah. Not so much a gripe.
Yeah. Cause I enjoy cooking. I look at that not every night, but it does feel like a
and you eat at some of the best restaurants in the country.
Yeah, I do. Why are you making this about?
I'm only saying that there is balance. There is,
but I don't always feel like that's balanced. So I don't necessarily want you to project to me that I am not seeing it correctly because I don't always feel like there's balance. Like over a certain amount of time, is there balance? Probably so.
Okay.
I don't, and I want to be careful because these are literally the conversations that we end up having offline. And you're taking what I'm saying. And just like you said, sometimes some of the worst case scenario, the worst situations get, wash over all the good stuff.
They get the headlines.
You'll take something that I'm saying and you'll make it a headline rather than I'm just like, no, I had to do 4 loads of laundry yesterday. And your stuff disappears. Folded and everything.
Thank you so much. And, we should say this because it deserves to be on tape as much as that is. I will fold. Right? Mm-hmm. I fold. Oh my God, don't do that. What do you mean, when did I fold?
Okay. I'll remember that. Noted. Duly noted. You'll be folding.
Are you serious?
Yeah, just tell me where to put the pile of clothes.
So you don't remember me folding?
Once, twice.
You're so terrible, yo.
Anyways, we'll discuss that asynchronously. We will offline about that, sidebar about that, and
that's so I would lame,
just let me know where the system is to put the clothes.
You got people thinking I'm just like washed.
No,
it's dependent, and everybody knows better.
Everybody do know better.
Yeah.
Whatever. So all that chatter that we got going on.
Yeah.
Just enough of that. But how do we communicate with each other when it's something that's family related versus something that's business conversation?
Well, there's only one person in this relationship who's allowed to yell, and it ain't me. And that is 100% because you're not a man. Because men just wouldn't challenge each other in that way, which I find fascinating. But I also take it as like she trusts that you're not going to respond to her with violence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I take it on some level as like a compliment, but I don't engage. Mm-hmm. I think that is probably my wrap up on how we talk to each other. Because I think there are, if I were to expand a bit more, we will do our best sometimes to dance around the uncomfortable truths until we can't, go any further without dealing with it. And it usually comes out in a moment of frustration. I'm very clear that's not unique to us, but it's something that we've continued to improve on. Because we've been together for a long time, it doesn't mean that we've mastered all of the things. And of the places that we're weakest, it is just like, all right, let's deal with this hard thing right now for all of whatever it is, right? And I think the people that make it to the end of their lives together and soldier through hard times are able to, fight monsters together. Mm-hmm. And again, I really feel like we've gotten a lot better with that. But I don't necessarily know that anybody starts, by mastering that. I don't know that you can.
Yeah. And if you can really ever, because it's always, going to be something, for lack of a better way to put it, and me managing my expectations around things has helped me not have to feel so tethered to what I need to point out to you, because I'm learning as, the years have gone by to do just that, to not expect someone to do something, or for you to do something or to see something in a way that I see it, or something that is a 10 for me to be a priority for you.
Mm-hmm.
And not that if I communicated that, it wouldn't be a priority for you.
Right.
But there's little things, whether we're talking about our business, whether we're talking about our home life, that I think that might be so obvious. Like, why wouldn't we just open the curtains in the morning? Or why wouldn't we just put the pillows on the couch a certain way? Or, you know, fold the blanket, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And these are more of the household things. On the business side, it might be something along the lines of, well, why wouldn't we always organize this Dropbox folder this way, or have a perfect file naming system? So on and so forth. Like, the list could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I've just made that up in my head, and it's an expectation that I've created that doesn't even really exist. And so to demand or expect or to think that that is obvious to someone else, something that just feels so obvious to me, that's made up.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. And I think some of that stuff can be communicated when, okay, no, I do think it's time for us to have a proper way to go about this, or it's really harming something, like it's harmful, it's not, you know, something's not working. But managing the expectations for me have been great for our communication and how
100%.
and how I talk to you. So I'm not being as petty over time, I hope.
Yeah. No, you are the person that I believe I have the best chance of enjoying my life with.
Yeah, thank you.
Right?
I'm
It's
excited.
because I believe that you are, aside from how you present, I mean, I clearly adore you in this way, but your ability to grow is as attractive as any other part of what you bring. And that's how I decided to place you above any other prospect or person that I could have ever considered. As you know, I wasn't even necessarily thinking about a forever relationship when we met, because I just didn't have a confidence that I could grow with someone and that we could move through difficulty. And I think over time, you've shown me that you were going to win with or without me. And so I'd much rather do life with you, and we win together.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That got deep.
That got deep.
And I'm out here trying, and we out here trying.
We are.
You know, we've committed to showing up every day.
Yeah. Me in the comments, boy, you better flirt with that woman on screen.
That's such a high note to end on. I feel good about that. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that again. And if there's any final thoughts on the balancing, the navigating, you know, these challenges between partners, and especially partners who work together, and whether you work together professionally or you're just working on your relationship, like you're working together.
Mm-hmm.
That's a job, you know? And if you have any, I don't know if you have any final thoughts or like actionable advice. You know, that sounds so crazy.
That's so interesting. I would not venture to advise anybody on how to move inside of their relationships. I would, however, suggest that they try to acknowledge what expectations they've come into the relationship with, what they expect of the other person, and figure out where they got it from, the thinking from, and try to find the reality of what they should expect from the person on the other side. Because the person who you have a vision of doing certain things might not either have those skills or have that expectation of themselves. So you are probably bringing a conflict in that doesn't have to exist. I think there was a conversation that we had much earlier on here about washing the car. And I'm like, I'm not washing no cars. I'm not, here are the things that I do and here's why. I'm not saying that I don't know how to wash a car. I can do that and change the tire and probably even the oil. It's just not something I'm going to do because I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And if you have an expectation because your dad was a mechanic,
you need to deal with that.
You need to deal with that. That's not my problem. Yeah. And I feel like that is the worst type of conflict to have in your relationship because they're invisible. Mm-hmm. Like you literally generate conflict when there was nothing that happened. It was just you expecting something that couldn't be delivered.
And that's literally what I said earlier was I am things that are obvious, that I believe that are obvious, they're not really existent.
Yeah.
They're not even a thing. They're not even a factor. I just have it already decided in my mind because our brain connects things for us. And we picture, okay, something should be a certain way, or this should be done like this, or this is the way my mom or dad taught me, or this is what I had to do in order to survive and whatnot. So I would, I second that, and I would consider or tell anyone to just consider, if you're not already and you are in a relationship, you're really trying to co-author, co-design, co-create a life together, or you're whatever you're doing, to work on yourself through and through and through. Do that first to figure out, where am I even coming from? Mm-hmm. And something that I'm very proud of is, as of this recording, like a couple days ago, I made my full year in therapy for the first time.
Congrats.
I barely skipped any weeks. The weeks that I skipped were just, maybe it was a holiday week, or, one of us was sick, me or my therapist or something. But I'm like, wow, it's been a year. And I've seen a tremendous, not even a subtle change. Like, I think I've seen major strides with how I'm able to approach coexisting with someone. Mm-hmm. So start with yourself, because then you realize, oh, all this shit made up. None of this even matters.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, please like and comment and subscribe. Let us know what your plans are for working on yourself or coexisting with someone else. Like, what your plans are, or what stood out to you. In the meantime, stay sharp.